My guest today is Srini. Srini is the CTO at Shardeum, of course, an EVM-based autoscaling blockchain. Yeah, aiming, of course, to provide decentralization for everyone. Welcome to the show, Srini.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure to have you here, Srini. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be super cool if you could please introduce yourself. I would love to hear just a little bit of your personal and professional backstory. What have you been doing in the lead up to joining the team at Shardeum?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on the show. Um, my name is Srini, and I'm based here in California, the Bay Area, slightly east and south of San Francisco. Um, I came to Shardium through a pretty serendipitous path. I've always been interested in sort of distributed technology per se, and I became particularly fascinated with blockchain and all its applications. Maybe around 2016, 2017, sort of. I set up my first NFT marketplace back in 2017. It's still up and running, and it's this was even before the ERC 721 standard was even in place. So I've been around this for quite some time now. Um, and it's like I was truly, blockchain isn't good for everything. It's just, there's a particular class of problems that blockchain is especially elegant for, especially where, you need decentralization primarily, and where you need security and something that needs to scale. When you have all these things in as a single requirement in an application, a good example is cryptocurrency. Blockchain is a very elegant solution. Before I came to Shardium, I was a CTO of a gaming company, and we were building NFTs of racehorses born in the US. And I remember that the last time we launched on Ethereum, we were selling racehorses for $1,200, and the gas fees were like $200 a piece. And if you think about it, it sounds insane. Paying 15% gas transaction fee to buy an NFT. And so when I came to Shardium, where our gas prices are really low, and we intend to keep it that way. To me, this was like an awesome thing. Before I came into blockchain, I was a CTO of a healthcare company based out of Florida. Built electronic health record systems for doctors and dentists. So I'm kind of familiar with cryptography and distributed systems, SaaS-based solutions. So it's been a serendipitous path for me, but I'm very happy to be here in Shardium. This is a wonderful team. We are building something very unique that hasn't quite been done before. Building a full layer 1 EVM-based blockchain that scales. It's auto scaling. So it's got a lot of very interesting things in it.
Yes, very well said, Srini. All right, well, describe then how you mentioned that Shardeum it's an EVM-compatible auto-scaling layer 1 blockchain, and I think one of the ideas there is that is how the Shardeum architecture addresses the blockchain trilemma of decentralization, scalability, and security, right? So just talk a little bit about how Shardeum addresses that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me use a sort of a visual analogy here. It's not completely accurate, but it's a good 50,000 view of how things are set up. So so let's imagine like you have a spreadsheet, with rows and columns, and the spreadsheet is, say, publicly available. Anybody can see it. Anybody can write to it. It's publicly available. That's a rough visual representation of a standard, say, blockchain, for instance, with the few rules that apply to it. Anybody can view any cell in the spreadsheet, but only one person can write to it at any point in time, let's say. So if you think of it as a blockchain, every row is a block, and every cell within that row is sort of like a transaction. And most EVM blockchains, the primary differentiator between them is like who gets to write that one row into that spreadsheet. And so as you can see, that who gets to write that, the basis for the consensus mechanism becomes absolutely critical in each of these blockchains. So now imagine if you had this spreadsheet with like a billion rows, and if you had one process that it was a single threaded write, and it had to search this billion rows and figure out where to what lookup, it becomes really hard. So one way to do this would be is to take this billion rows in a single sheet and sort of break it up into, say, 100 tabs, where each tab has a smaller portion, a subset of all of the rows, like you would have in a Google sheet, for instance, right? Think of it like a telephone book where you have all the names starting with A in one sheet, names starting with B in a different sheet, so on and so forth. So that's sort of like state sharding. And so Shardeum would sort of fall into that category, where instead of having one humongous spreadsheet with a billion rows, you actually have a set of, say, 100, 200 tabs with a small subset, which we call a shard, that breaks up that data into smaller pieces. Now, if you only had, a constant set of 100 tabs or 1,000 tabs, which there are EVMs that do, but what Shardeum does is something even more clever. We don't just have like a fixed set of tabs. We have a dynamic set of tabs. So we may start out with, say, 10 tabs. And as the transaction volume grows, as the demand grows, we could have that grow from 10 to 100 tabs or 1,000 tabs or so on. That's the dynamic, state sharding part of it. But here's the better part of it, is that we don't have to shut down the network and say, okay, we now have 10 shards. We now want to shut it down and bring it up with 100 shards. No, the network automatically scales up and down to accommodate the number of the number of tabs that you have in that sheet. So I don't know if that's useful to visualize it that way, but that's what Shardeum does best, and that's why we love this. This is a very interesting piece of technology that's never been done before. So we're really excited to get to mainnet for that.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. And look, speaking of getting to mainnet, so we'll get to that, but I believe that happens next month. So at the moment, of course, you've been working hard through the test net phase, and I can see there's your website, the Shardeum website's fantastic. Actually, it has a wealth of data, documentation, information. Statistics all presented in quite a lively fashion. It's great to see. But I can see that the Shardeum testnet has achieved over 171,000 validators, 1.2 million wallets, and processed 81 million transactions. So I guess that speaks to the network's readiness and appeal to, I don't know, developers, node operators, and you run a kind of like some incentivized testnet phases, didn't you? How's that all been going?
Oh yeah, we have run like 4 incentivized testnets so far, and all the stats that you just read, they're all like, it shows we have a really vibrant community out there that's really supported us through all these different testnets. Um, and um, we wouldn't be here but for that incredible support that we had from our community. And I believe it is one of the largest test nets that any L1 layer 1 network has ever had. And a lot of learnings from that. Each test net that we run, we learn incredible things, like just the UI and the UX of what users expect. Obviously, things that we had to fix in the network as we go through each test net. It's been an incredible learning experience for us, and that's why it's taken a while for us to get this all kind of cooked and ready to go. But we are ready now. We are actually in the very last stages of prepping for mainnet release, and it's going to be an interesting event for us for sure.
Well, tell us about mainnet launch then. What's the date? Is everything coming together? Anything that still needs to fall into place, and what can people expect after mainnet?
It's we are going to launch on May 5th, and it's everything is in place. In fact, we have been doing test runs of the mainnet launch for quite some time now. We expect everything to be in place, ready. The market conditions were, as you can imagine, in the US, for instance, has been very chaotic. So it's just we're just waiting for that to settle a little bit. So, but we are ready. We are ready to roll at any point in time. There's really nothing holding us back. We're just waiting for the right market conditions. That's all that we're looking at.
Yeah, and in the meantime, there's a token sale, the Shardeum token sale, SHM token that is underway at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, that is underway at the moment, and we expect to keep that going till we launch mainnet. And again, the community has been super supportive. Thank you all if you're listening to us. But I'm very happy about how we have gone about doing this.
And if people, because that token sale is open until,
I think it's May 5th, May 4th.
Yeah, until mainnet launches, I suppose. So, if people want to, maybe participate in that token sale, or at least have a look at what is involved, what is the easiest way for them to do that? Just get the information that they need.
Yep. The token sale is important because that's how you get to stake a node. And the whole idea behind Shardeum is that we pride ourselves on being one of the really inexpensive blockchains for you to spin up a node with. And the goal, every decision that we make is kind of driven by our desire for decentralization. So you want to make this truly a decentralized network for everybody in the world. So it takes very little to spin up a node. The requirements for our architecture lends itself very elegantly to running very simple nodes that can participate in the security of the network. And we hope that all the people who participated in our token sale will actually end up using that to help secure the network.
Yeah, that is indeed the goal. And I suppose, speaking of making that decentralized infrastructure more accessible and encouraging anyone to come and run a node. So how do you, I guess, what's the strategy there in terms of making it user friendly enough for developer adoption, but also just other stakeholders, other people who want to come and run a node. You want to make that easy, but still keep the decentralization ethos. You don't want to compromise performance, but you want to maintain that user friendliness. Is that a tricky balance to strike?
It is a little bit, and that's why the way we have designed our system helps in that regard. So if you remember, if you go back to our spreadsheet analogy, so instead of if you had each node, like in a typical EVM network, if each node had a complete copy of the billion rows of the spreadsheet, you would need, a bigger machine, more hard disk space, greater network throughput. Because we have broken that up into smaller tabs, if you will, and each validator node that spins up is responsible for just a subset of that data. The requirements for spinning up a validator node substantially reduce. So, for instance, to stake a node, you just need 2400 SHM, and the hardware requirements for running such a validator node is actually much smaller, probably in the order of I don't know, $50 to $100 a month to run one of these, and truly that's driven by our goal to make this a network for for anybody around the world to be able to participate in this in Shardeum. In our incentivized testnet 4, for instance, for the most of our time, we did not operate a single one of those nodes. All the nodes that ran that network all came from the community hosting that node. So, that should give you an idea as to how truly decentralized we are, and we hope to be also as we launch mainnet. So that's kind of, so like I said, our architecture itself lends for decentralization. It makes it easier, cheaper, less expensive to run a node, and we have made a lot of tools available on our website that makes it easy for anybody to just spin up a node. It's literally like 3 or 4 commands that you need to run and set one up. We also have a team that is dedicated to working with the community as they set up nodes. So, we are always here to help if you run into any issues. And, that's one of the things that we had to learn sometimes the hard way through our incentivized testnet, to make sure that the user interface is friendly enough, and we can get people to come in and actually not you don't need to be a geek to run our nodes. We are hoping that anybody can just come in, can run this, go through our documentation, and easily spin up a node. And that's what we're hoping for. If that's not the case, please talk to us.
Yes, indeed. Well, as you work towards mainnet just a few weeks away, then, as the wider blockchain space continues to evolve, how do you see Shardeum evolving, and do you see it competing with other layer ones or collaborating? How do you see Shardeum's place taking place in the wider blockchain community over the years ahead?
That's a very interesting question, and we hope. I mean, there are a lot of users have a lot of choices. There is a lot of every blockchain has a defined purpose for its existence, and I think where Shardium is really going to shine is where when people recognize we actually have solved the trilemma. You don't have to pick 2 out of the 3 when you decide that you're going to deploy it to a network. And we think that Shardium will be an easy choice for many of these people if you're looking at DeFi applications because the gas prices are so low, or you're looking at running your NFT marketplace through there, because again the gas price is low, and it's a known quantity, and it's also secure, it's truly decentralized. I suspect that once the community gets their hands on Shardium, they're going to find more uses for it than we can even think of. I mean, we haven't really looked at I think we're just scratching the surface here. There is a lot more applications that I think our very engaged community will come up with and will hopefully use Shardium for. I just want to say one more thing, because we have this ability that we can auto scale. I think the other thing that people are going to look at is they're going to say, okay, I'm not gated or held to some throughput measurement. It's like, if you start out with 100 TPS, we need to double that. We'll just double the number of nodes in the system, because we literally scale linearly. So I think all of these things will play into how the ecosystem perceives us and uses us as we go forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, as we start to finish up this part of the podcast, then, Srini, for anyone who's not aware of Shardeum and wants to learn more after listening to you, or perhaps jump into that token sale, look to become a validator, run a node, what is the best place for people to go, and what should they do to keep up to date and get involved with all things Shardeum?
The best place is to go to shardiem.org. It has all the information that you're looking for. We also are pretty active on social media, X, Twitter, slash Discord. We have a very vibrant community there that will be happy to jump in and help if you run into any issues. And of course, we have a dedicated team that you can, again, get in touch with on social media or even on our website. Any one of those sources would be a great place to start.
Yes, indeed. So the link is in the show notes, listeners, but that website again is shardeum.org. And Srini, it's time to finish off the show. And we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
Sure.
All right, Srini, I'm just going to run some questions at you, and I just want you to give me your honest hot take style answers, if you like. Just a bit of fun. That's how we do it. Question 1 for you is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Definitely not on the maximalist side, but I'm very close to that. I think we need to be decentralized enough.
Yep, that makes sense. All right. Well, what would you say, Srini, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I definitely think that decentralization is really, really important. And if you don't believe that, blockchain is not a good solution.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. Hard to argue with that. Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So with that in mind, anything you like here, but yeah, Shardeum, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
You know, it's amazing. That's absolutely true. When we started with Shardeum, you know, for instance, the AI part of the market hadn't really matured. There was nothing. But today, my entire team, we use AI quite heavily, and it's like that part of it is the growth in that is incredible. So every day we look around, there's some new stuff, there's new ways of doing stuff, and you can spin up 4 agents that can do things that would have normally taken us 3 weeks. Now we can do that in 10 minutes. I really don't know. We could gates may be off. I mean, maybe it's like not 2 years, but it may be 6 months. So I'm very optimistic that this is a very interesting time to be in the blockchain space, in crypto, and in tech in general. I think this is an amazing time to be here.
Yeah, and another way of thinking about this, Srini, of course, is a wonderful famous quote by sci-fi author William Gibson, who said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So with that in mind, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Oh, the example that I just mentioned, which is, we already have an army of agents that you can spin up with just a few key clicks, and you can have them working as a team, doing things that would have taken us months to do, even to plan before we begin execution. What would have taken us like month to just get to that stage, we can now do that in half a day, in hours. So I don't know how many people the world is aware of that, but it's a very silent revolution. People just look at ChatGPT and they don't know how much of an impact that whole thing has had behind the scenes, even as you build software. It's just crazy.
Yeah, very much agree. Brings us nicely to the final question, which is, what is your favorite piece of science fiction? Is it a book, a film, or TV show?
I have so many, I don't know where to begin, but let me just say Star Trek.
Star Trek is a great answer. Any particular season or iteration of Star Trek?
I love them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where to start.
And what's great about Star Trek, of course, is Star Trek is, one of those rare kind of Utopian sci-fi almost,
Yeah. Yeah. It could be sooner than we think, though.
Yeah. Hey, Srini, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us today to talk all things Shardeum. Just to close it out, again, please tell people where they can go to engage with the Shardeum community, keep up to date with the build up to mainnet launch next month, and of course, get involved with that token sale, which is live now and closes around the time of mainnet launch. Also, go for gold, shout out your socials, all that good stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andy. I really appreciate for this opportunity. I just want to take this, take a few more seconds of your time and thank the community who has stood by us. Thank you very much. Please participate in Shardeum. All the information that you need is available on shardeum.org. The mainnet goes live on May 5th, and the token sale is on right now. Please, continue to support us as you have over the last, months and years. I cannot wait for us to launch and do great things. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Srini. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you.